joining us now to discuss the Bellatrix Upgrade and the Ethereum merge, we've got Preston van Loon. He's an Ethereum protocol developer and co-founder of Prysmatic Labs. Welcome there, Preston. Thanks for joining us. A really exciting time. Maybe you could start us off by just explain to everyone, what is the Bellatrix Upgrade?
Yeah, of course. So the Bellatrix Upgrade is the upgrade to the proof of stake side of Ethereum. So right now, what Ethereum is doing is they're running proof of stake alongside the proof of work chain. And the Bellatrix Upgrade is the sort of the final configuration and upgrade for the proof of stake side. So what it really means is that the proof of stake side of Ethereum is now ready to merge with the proof of work side. And that will be, happening in a week or so, a week and a half. Very exciting.
So this upgrade happened around 7:34 a.m. Eastern this morning, just about an hour and a half ago. How did it go? Yeah. Is everything going on time? Is everything running pretty smoothly?
Yeah, I'd say it went really well this morning. There was a small drop off in participation. And what this means is that a few people out there, a few operators had not upgraded their software for the Bellatrix Upgrade. We see these in every hard fork that happens in Ethereum. Some people don't upgrade or they don't realize it's time to upgrade for this kind of hard fork. Overall, though, the participation for proof of work only dropped a small percentage, maybe like 3 or 4%. So that's still very high percentage to go ahead. We have at least 95% was the lowest it got for participation, which is still really great for mainnet. It's typically around 99 or more percentage for participation and activity in the proof of stake chain.
Preston, good to speak with you. One of the questions I think people are asking here, and just sort of like the general market question idea here is, are we going to see more of a rivalry, or an intensification of that rivalry between Bitcoin and Ethereum in terms of ultimately which of the two cryptocurrencies or which of the two networks will ultimately prevail? Obviously in terms of market sentiment, it's about half right now. If you were to use a market cap, about half as valuable as Bitcoin is Ethereum. So are we going to see that intensification? Does this change the game? Does it make it, if this works out and we go forward, does the proof of stake, does this change to proof of stake? Will it maybe ultimately spark the end, the beginning of the decline of Bitcoin as a network, as an idea?
So I think what Ethereum aims to do is it aims to be a global settlement layer. That being that everything can settle on Ethereum, even Bitcoin included in the far out future. But one of the big barriers to that, to global scaling, is this environmental impact that comes with proof of work. We see this as a barrier for just global adoption or really sentiment around cryptocurrencies. So with that said, having that efficiency gain that we get from proof of stake being 99.9% more efficient in terms of energy consumption and block production, that's really going to remove that barrier. So what I'm expecting with Ethereum is that we're going to see a lot more activity and a lot more interest in it. And how that relates to Bitcoin is, these kind of things seem to be very correlated, but they both aim to be different solutions for different problems. But Ethereum's aiming for the biggest solution out there is to be a global settlement layer. So I do expect there will be a lot more discussion between Bitcoin and Ethereum, but Ethereum's getting ready to reach that global scale that it aims to be.
I wonder if you could break down that figure for us. Ethereum will use 99.95% less energy to validate transactions. Can you walk folks through how that is possible?
Sure. So the way that proof of work works is that it's essentially computing hashes, which is computationally intensive. It does this many times, trying to find essentially the answer to a cryptographic puzzle. And as a block producer or a miner, rather, someone who's producing the blocks on Ethereum or other proof of work chain, they have to spend considerable amount of resources to do this. Well, with the switch of proof of stake, you don't have to spend as much computational resources. You simply have something at stake saying I'm behaving in an honest way, rather than relying on this work mechanism. So the cost to put it into scale, you may have needed an entire data center worth of hardware or several data centers worth of hardware to be able to produce blocks, or you're joining a mining pool. Well, with proof of stake, you can be a block producer and a participant in the consensus of Ethereum with something as small as a laptop or even a Raspberry Pi in some instances. So very cheap consumer grade hardware can run Ethereum and be a producer of blocks, where in proof of work you needed a lot of special hardware.
Mm-hmm. I guess the criticism from the Bitcoin community would be, proof of work is superior security because they are using so much energy and consumption. It would be difficult to override the network that way, and that this proof of stake system would essentially be more centralized, and it would benefit economic stakeholders, people who just happen to own a lot more ETH than other folks. So I'm wondering if you could address those kind of concerns and the security of this proof of stake network.
Sure, and these are great arguments, right? However, I think that this idea applies both to proof of work and proof of stake. It's the ones who have the most resources are the ones who can control the network. In the case of proof of work, it comes down to machines, hardware, infrastructure, those kind of things. You still have to acquire those to be a major player in a proof of work system. Where in proof of stake, it's similar to, you have to spend a considerable amount of resources to be a major player in that network. So, if that argument is to apply for proof of stake, it also applies to proof of work. But proof of stake is pretty resilient. At least the way Ethereum's designed it is, you would need a very significant amount of resources. I think over 2/3 to really be able to cause kind of any kind of grief or disruption to the network. You couldn't really change the rules. You can't really make up currency or anything like that. It just would be a bit disruptive if you were able to secure that amount of resources, which is in the many billions of dollars worth of assets.
So, I mean, what it seems like you're saying here is that both proof of stake and proof of work require a significant amount of resources to make those kind of changes. But the single biggest difference is that proof of stake requires much less energy than proof of work. Nonetheless, are there any other benefits that proof of stake provides that proof of work doesn't?
Yeah, I think to the point of decentralization, I think that proof of stake actually makes it more decentralized in the sense that, you and I can be a participant in the network with a minimal barrier to entry. As I've been saying before, is that to produce a block, you need almost an entire data center. To do that, well, in proof of stake, you just need a consumer grade machine like a laptop or a Raspberry Pi, and then the 32 ETH requirement to be a staker. And what that means is that more people can join, more people can be participants. It won't be, simply controlled by 3 organizations or however many control majority hash rate on proof of work systems. So it is more decentralized, I think.
I just want to ask, as a user, will I notice anything more, different once this merge happens in terms of transaction fees, how quickly the transactions settle, and should I be doing anything? Should I be removing my Ethereum off chain onto hard wallets or whatever, or off of dApps and exchanges?
Yeah, so as an end user, there's not much you need to do. Well, there's really nothing you need to do. You're really not going to feel much of a difference as an Ethereum user. This isn't a scaling upgrade in the sense that it would affect transaction fees. I think technically it's there's 10% more block space per day, but that's really negligible in the grand scheme of things. There's nothing you need to do. There's nothing to prepare. Moving to off-chain or anything like that, it's not necessary. You really just have to wait for the merge, and if you do run your own software, you'll need to upgrade. Now's the time to do that. Everyone has their software out. Other than that, you don't need to take any action to be upgraded for the merge.